Hello everyone and welcome to Skycurser Daily number 28. Today we have a couple of good things in store. We're going to first off start by going to the top 25 shmups of all time playlist that we set aside on YouTube, and we're going to continue watching Gradius 5. We have been watching over the last several streams, we've been watching some of the top 25 shmups of all time. The playlist is put on by shmups.system11.org, and they recently put a 2014 survey out and made it publicly available, and they've been doing this since 2002. So what we've watched up to this point, number 25 on the playlist, we've also watched Mars Matrix, we watched R-Type, we watched Batsugan, we watched Armed Police Batrider, and those were all thanks to the permission given to us by World of Long Plays and the team at World of Long Plays. However, we have another one that we've been granted permission to stream their content on YouTube, specifically Pegboy. We are watching Gradius 5, and the player is Pegboy. And Pegboy has a YouTube channel full of shmup playthroughs, and so the one that we're actually watching of his is the Gradius 5 shmup playthrough. So we're gonna do that. Hey Dan the man, how's it going, man? Hello Cadrius. And yeah, so we're gonna pick up where we left off yesterday. We were about half hour in, and the total playthrough is a little bit over an hour. I think if we hit the hour mark again today, what we'll probably do is go ahead and pause it at the hour mark, just so we can get over to the programming. We left off on level 2 yesterday. We left off on level 2, and we were working on just the street scene down below Skycurser, and some of the explosions that occurred there, some of the depths of each of the units that appear there, but we basically created an obstacle controller, and so we're simply trying to continue working on that just so that the scene below looks believable. And yeah, Skycurser will be able to shoot the obstacles down below, that specifically the cars, and I think we're going to have maybe several enemies that can be shot down there as well. But for now, we're just working on the cars that originate below. Yeah, and Cadrius pointed out yesterday at the end of the stream that there was a depth problem on the vehicle lights, and so it'll be a really simple fix. It'll be a one-line fix. All we got to do is make sure the light depth of each of the vehicles is the same as the vehicle itself. So wherever the depth originates, we'll make sure that it is the same. So beyond that, let's get started with the Gradius 5, pick up where we left off on the playthrough here. Okay, can you guys hear me okay, and can you hear the sound on the game itself? Sound check. And similar to yesterday, we're going to go over to Wikipedia and read. Again, some of this will be refresher, but we're going to read a little bit more about this again, specifically Gradius 5 for PS2. So most of the details that I'm going to give about the game are directly related to Wikipedia. And so I will do that here in a second. Sorry for the screen switch. I'm just lowering the music a little bit. It's very loud in my ears. Okay. Okay, Dan the Man, I see that you're going to have a question about animations and basic programming. So go ahead and ask away, man. I'll try to answer it. As far as Gradius 5, Gradius 5 was was published by Konami for Sony PlayStation 2, mostly developed by a team named Treasure, and it seems that it was so good that Konami picked it up and wanted to make sure they published it on PS2. So the Treasure team had previously created Radiant Silvergun and Ikaruga. Again, Ikaruga is another one of the top shmups of all time, especially according to the 2014 playlist. And this game was created in 2004, so a little bit over 10 years ago, so right around 11 years ago. Yep, obviously it's pretty obvious. Mostly it's a 2D scrolling shooter. Sometimes it's a vertical, sometimes it's horizontal, mostly horizontal shooter. Some of the levels we saw yesterday went back and forth between vertical and horizontal. Obviously the player gets power-ups, and I'm not reading this from Wikipedia, but the player gets power-ups. Often there are many power-ups made available right before a boss. But yeah, this level is very interesting, and we were talking yesterday. Gradius has done a pretty good job of having a basic bullet hell, and also having units shooting at you all the time, and also having obstacles coming at you. So kudos to Treasure and Konami for putting together such a good game. Okay, I'm following you so far, Dan the Man. And just so you know, Dan, I am also I'm mainly the guy who does the developing. Chris is the guy who does most of the artwork. So he does a lot of the animations, and I make the animations come to life. Man, this level is so tough. I love the fact that Pegboy has all this content on all these different shmups. So thumbs up, hat tip to Pegboy for not only sharing his content with us, but also for just creating good content via all the good shmups that are out there. So. Wow, look at those bullets, man. So this is a key strategy. I love the way that they did this in this game, which is the bullets can't penetrate the the asteroids, the asteroid obstacles. So the player uses them in an intelligent way to separate themselves between them and all the bullet hell, basically. Otherwise, the player basically wouldn't be able to handle it. How would you make pixel art animations in basic programming, specifically Microsoft Small Basic? Did you mean Microsoft Visual Basic? And besides that, Dan the Man, usually that's done through sprites, and so there's several different versions of a character usually, or an object or an enemy that's created, and each of the versions represent a still picture of that character in a different position. So if the character's running, that running animation will happen over several different frames of that picture, and that's usually done through an animated GIF. And what I know our guy does is he'll create a GIF in Photoshop so that he can make sure all the animations look correct. And then what he does is export them to a sprite sheet, or exports them all to different files, usually I believe they're all different PNGs, and then I just import them into our game via GameMaker, and GameMaker then puts all those images together and creates a sprite out of it. And also, we were talking yesterday about the backgrounds on this one. The backgrounds are really nice. They've done a good job. R-Type did a good job in this as well. Still trying to review a lot of other shmups to see kind of what we think about it, but R-Type did a good job of using what would normally be considered kind of a platformer style background and added them into the shmup to basically consist of another obstacle for the player. And something that's unique to this one, they do a lot of 3D backgrounds in this one. A lot of the platforms are 3D. Some of the background is 3D as the player transitions in different places. In different levels, the background transitions in a 3D manner. So that takes a lot of 3D artwork and rendering, and is somewhat unique to this game. Oh, thanks for the follow, Dan the Man. Sorry I missed it. I'm working on my my follow alert, so thank you so much for that. I was trying to get that all hashed out right before the stream started, but apparently I still have a couple bugs to work out, so thanks for the follow. This level, man, look at the way it basically turns as the player is moving. Additionally, this plasma that's coming out of these tubes, really amazing work here. And it's basically liquid, so as the whole level and stage turns, the plasma, kind of flows like liquid, so it kind of obeys gravity. So really, really amazing. Mad respect to the developers and the team here who put this together. So I'm trying to think through this, and I think what I'm going to do since from the start of today we had about 40 minutes left on this video, I think I'm going to let 20 minutes total pass for today. So we'll be at about 50 minutes by the time we stop for today on this, and then we'll pick it up one more time tomorrow. And that will be the last episode of Greatest that we watch, just because I don't want it to eat into too much of the stream, and so that we can get some work done. Yeah, one of the criticisms that I heard, that I've heard about Gradius in general, is the way that, you know, the fighter kind of doesn't go, you know, always left to right, basically horizontal or vertical all the time, but instead it changes at different times. Personally, that's one of the things that I like the most about it, is that it's got a definitely unique sense of gameplay. But yeah, I mean, I can understand that, in that it's not as natural as you might think it would be. Thanks a lot, Cadrius. Very, very much appreciate that. Yep. Yeah, our guy who does our artwork, Chris, sometimes he's in chat here. My username is Skycurser Dev. If he's in chat, he'll be in chat as Skycurser. And yeah, so if you see him in there, he's our artist, and he does amazing work in terms of pixel art, and it's all pixel for pixel, hand drawn with hand drawn is kind of a slang for using Photoshop, but pixel for pixel art. So yeah, pretty amazing work. He does a lot of work. He tries to sketch it out a lot first, just you know, paper and pen, or pencil and paper. But every once in a while, he can just, you know, get straight into it using Photoshop, and just comes up with some really good techniques. He did a lot of studying on how Metal Slug did their artwork, and was able to, you know, apply a lot of that to our game. So we've been really fortunate that he's here. Old NES basic pixel art. Your pixel art is? That's cool, man. I like that stuff. That's basically 16-bit, right? Nintendo. And Super Nintendo, I think, was 32-bit. So, am I saying that right? Let me look that up. Okay, so I said that wrong. NES was 8-bit. Super Nintendo was 16-bit. And that is, when that term is used, it's mainly in relation to how many colors are used for each of the different objects. So Chris, if he were here, he would tell you that's basically 15 different colors. If you're doing 16-bit, that's 15 different colors for one item, and then an extra color, which would be the transparency of that particular item, to be true 16-bit. And, you know, same if you're doing 8-bit, it would be 7 colors that are on the palette for that particular item, and then an extra color for transparency, an extra bit for transparency. Here's a dragon. Check it out. Yeah, dude, nice. Like it. So, we're about 15 minutes in today. After this, we got about 5 more minutes, and we'll see where this ends up whenever he takes out this boss. Or mini boss. I think this is one of the main bosses. Yeah, and something unique that they do a really good job of is basically some of these bosses have different stages that they go through, and one of the stages was just completed and it basically turned into this other enemy. Nice. Saw the skull, Cadrius. Are you making a game right now, Cadrius? Depends on how you feel for the day. Look at these effects, man. This is crazy. "47 minutes. Got about 2 minutes left, guys." This is one of those scenarios where Gradius gives a whole bunch of upgrades right before a boss. It's one of the end stages, it looks like. So Gradius just wants to make sure you have enough enough upgrades. Look at this craziness. I mean, I can see justifying dropping all these upgrades right before a boss, based on the sheer number of enemies that are there. I don't know. Not sure how I feel about that overall. Wow, look at this one. Looks like the player has a lot of free reign to move up and down as they want. But the screen keeps scrolling right to left at the same speed. I like that a lot. Wow. Pretty amazing. Kind of hard to tell what this boss does, because I think he's found a good way to exploit what the attacks of the boss. Okay, so we're at 50 minutes and 38 seconds. I think what I'll do is let him finish playing through this guy right here, and then we'll call it for the day, just so we don't stop right in the middle of it. Okay, cool. Let's call it right there, guys. Looks like a mid-level boss. Okay, here we go. So, picking up where we left off from yesterday, let's go ahead and hit play so we can watch the playthrough, just so we can remember where we're at. Of course, like I said, we have a depth issue we have to work out with the lights on the vehicles. One other thing that I know we got to fix is sort of the placement of the vehicles on the road below, and there is a depth issue that I'm going to fix based on basically how low in terms of the Y position a particular vehicle is. It will have a different depth than those that are higher up in Y position. Mainly, I want the depth to be closer to the screen, closer to the player, closer to the top of the depth. So in GameMaker, the way that works, depth is determined. The lower the depth, the lower the number is in terms of depth, the actual is means that the actual object is closer to the top of the stack. If it's a higher number in terms of depth, that means the actual number is further away from the screen and at the bottom of the stack.
Skycurser.
Okay, so here we go. Of course, I took the sound out mostly. We'll notice here that the lights are showing up on top of Skycurser. Good catch, hat tip to Cadrius for finding that guy, or at least seeing it pointed out. And then, so we've got this set up so that we can basically shoot pretty decently. We do have some weird things going on in terms of vehicles that should be out in front of another vehicle are showing up behind a vehicle that's higher up on the Y position. So we're going to fix that. So let's just start there with those two items. One thing we might do just for now is slow down how fast those objects are going across the screen so we can watch and troubleshoot them a little bit easier. So we have this object controller obstacle. It has two events in it. It has a create event which executes a script controller obstacles in it. It has a step event which executes a script controller obstacles step. So let's see where this is. Obstacle, script controller obstacles init, and step. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and fix the lights. And that will be for sure in the base vehicle. The fix on that will be in the base vehicle. And that's in the script base vehicle init. So let's go find that obstacle script. Script base vehicle init. Here we go. Notice we have this lights item here. We're going to set argument 0.lights.depth equal to script depth engine argument 0.depth. Nope, I said that wrong. We don't need to send it through the depth engine. We're going to use the depth that we just grabbed, and the depth engine requires an object anyways. We were passing object.property, and we don't need to do that. We basically have the depth that we have assigned to this particular instance of an object, and then we are going to assign the depth now to the lights, the same depth as the particular item. So I think we fixed that. Like I said, it's a one-line fix. Trying to get my sound station set up and in place here, so do that at the same time while we're waiting for a compile. I think I got it. Okay. One thing I'm going to do real quick, sorry about that, I will go ahead and set the speed on these vehicles to much slower, just so we can watch and troubleshoot with them. Game Maker bad side compiling time. Yeah, I don't know if the other engines are like that or not. I think most engines are somewhat like that from what I understand, unless we created our own engine through like Visual Basic or C++. Then we could cut out a lot of the things that load that are unnecessary. You're saying no, it doesn't happen for other. I wonder though if it's the amount of assets that we have. I have a ton of video assets in here that have to load that take a lot of time. And I have a lot of sound assets in here that load that have to take a lot of time. So if I just had sprites in here, I'm pretty sure the whole thing would load much faster. Yeah, slow for compiling in general. Makes sense. Okay. Looking for the speed that gets set, and I'm pretty sure that's based in the controller. Obstacles, here we go. Obstacles init. So here it is. I'm going to slow these way down. We'll make them 1 or 2. Just so we can troubleshoot a lot of this, and then we'll put them back up to 7.5 to 9.5. Cadrius, you sure know a lot about the gaming engines and how everything works together for not working on a game. All right. So those are slowed way down. We did fix the depth issue, so let's just take a look here and make sure everything looks fairly decent. The lights should now be behind Skycurser. Yo, 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 what up, the Beastly bro? Good to see you, man. Here we go. Skycurser. Okay, perfect. Much better. Check that out. Everything is behind. This definitely underscores our issue of depth, our problem that we need to get fixed. Notice how some of the items are like, I guess I don't have my cursor in when I switch the game. But notice how some of the ones that are lower on the road, which would theoretically be closer to us viewing the road, are behind other objects, and that's not the way it should be. So we're going to write something in to fix that. And then the other thing is that some of these guys are writing pretty much on the concrete barrier, so we're going to pull those down a little bit so that it can't quite look like that. One other thing I'm going to do after I get this depth issue fixed, I'm going to make it so that the cars drive around each other, and so they basically, if they collide into each other, they're going to, and one's going faster than another one comes up right behind another one, I'll make it drive around the other one. So for now, let's fix this depth issue. This is going to take a little bit of thinking through in terms of how to fix it. So yeah, we'll get it all worked out though. Let's see here. I don't necessarily like the fact that these are in here. in this group right here, this controller group. So, oh, what's up, Chris, man? Good to see you. So, Cadrius says he used GameMaker 4 before, but the best one he used was GameMaker 8 stable version. I don't know what the tile graphics bug is. Shooting this would be an epic boom. And then how was today's shmup? So to Beastly Bro, today's shmup was pretty good. We're covering Gradius 5 right now. We covered it yesterday partially, and then we covered it today partially, and then we're going to finish it tomorrow. The whole playthrough is an hour and 12 minutes, so it's a pretty long playthrough. So, yeah, we're just trying to figure that out. Okay, now, where were we? I think it's going to be right here in this init script, and the depth engine in particular. We'll probably have to go into the helpers, specifically the depth engine. And here's our object base vehicle right here. We are basically saying, let's just think about this for a second. We may need to do some adjustment on some numbers here, but the benefit of how we have it set up is that we can make the adjustment all at once. Let me think about this. Alright. I do want this other one open at the same time though, so let me get that open. Okay, so repeat too many of the same tile appear with the random pixel on it. Yeah, that sucks. Beastly Bro says he doesn't have the same bug. And I think Beastly Bro, I think Cadrius, that Beastly Bro uses GM8, GameMaker 8. Okay, so the main thing that we need to worry about is the depth issue. And I'm going to reduce the size here so I can see both of them at the same time. And I basically say create this. I gotta look at the create event here. It's all going through there. Okay. Okay, I don't have anything attached to that. Base vehicle init is right there. And the last thing I'm looking at is the init on the obstacles controller, which obviously isn't where it should be. I think we're going to have to move some code here. Nope, it's there. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. We're going to move this back down to 165, I think is where we had it anyways. This should fix most of those vehicles that were climbing up on the concrete barrier. And let's see here. Vehicle direction, speed. Now we got to fix the depth. Okay, so what we may do is work to spread some of these out. Let's see. There's basically 165, I think, to 195 is the amount of pixels that we have. So we may want to make sure that we have a gap for 30 pixels here, so we can set a depth anywhere in that 30 range. Let me just check that one more time, which I believe is on the step controller, and it is. Oh, it's actually 20. This is really good because we don't need as big of a gap here. So I'm going to change this a little bit, say 200 here. $70, 160, and 50, and I may even pull these a little bit closer together. 90, 85, 80, 75, and let's set this guy at we're basically going to say starts no sooner than 150. But we'll say 4. We're going to need to know the Y position for this particular vehicle. Okay, so we're going to set a property for this particular instance of this object, and it's going to be basically named the exact same as the variable that we created here. And we will say argument 0 is the object passed in, so we'll say for var, I may not be able to do this way, but I'm going to see. I'm just going to go ahead and do a lookup on a for loop for GameMaker because I feel like they do their for loops a little differently. Let me just verify. Okay, so I don't declare the variable inside the loop, but I can declare it right here. I equals 0, I is less than 30, I plus plus. We may make this a little bit different. We may say it's actually $165. Let me think about the repercussions of that for a second. Base depth equals 150. And so what we're going to do is say my argument 1 equals, I know we don't even need a loop here, guys. Make sure I'm not losing sight of chat. Okay, cool. We don't need a loop. We can literally just set it right here. My argument 1 equals $185 minus argument 0 dot y position. So the max we can go is up to 185. If it's at 185, it'll be 185 minus 185. So that'll mean that we'll have a difference here of 0. And then we just say plus 150 because the base depth is, less than this guy. I think this is the correct math. Lower means closer. So let's do this. Let's do a scenario in our head. Like 185 minus 170 would be 15 plus 150. So that would be 165. The higher Y position should be closer to the user. So that means that the depth should be less. And I think this is right. So, because if it's 185, you got 185 minus 185 equals 0 plus 150. If it's anything lower than 185, so let's say it's 165, 185 minus 160 would be 20 plus 150. That would be 170, which would be closer to this guy, but not a lower number. Remember, lower would be closer to the player, or to the front of the screen. I'm gonna put a note up here, just in case anybody else ever reads this. Note lower, and this is a given inside of GameMaker, but just so that the programmer can see this at a glance. Lower depth equals closer equals top of stack. Higher depth equals bottom of stack. It's kind of, reverse. I think that's it though, guys. And I can just say, now I can just say base depth here, because that's going to be 150. And 150 plus 20, max will be 170, so it'll never go behind the street and the concrete barrier. That's the main thing we got to worry about here. So let's just try this, see what we got. This should solve the problem where, if I did this correctly, this should solve the problem where closer cars are behind cars that should be further away, based on their Y position.
Skycurser.
Okay, I have a bug in here, not to worry. Copy the bug, abort this, go over to the other IDE that I have. And paste this guy in so we can read it here. 144 Y position, so it doesn't think that it has a Y position. Very possible I did not return the Y position property. So let's go look at that. And the Y position property should be returned if I return the argument, which would be returning the object itself. Let's go look. And I did not. So let's think about this for a second. It might be wise to set the depth right here. Let me think about this for a second. setting it right here. I don't know that I want to return right here. It should definitely have that instance or that property set. The problem, the thing that it didn't like was the fact that I was trying to access that property right here. And argument 0 should definitely be, oh, basically I did in GameMaker. GameMaker has a kind of a weird way that you can do overloading on parameters, and this is the way that you have to do it. Basically pull it in via argument with square brackets around your index, and you basically set it here, and then you can check to see if the argument count is high enough, then you know you have something you can set to 0. And if argument count is high enough, then you can set something to argument 1. But if you try to access that without that existing, you'll get an error. So this is why you have to do it this way. And theoretically, I could just pass a non-default depth here, but I'd like to do it right in this script. And I think this will do it, because my argument 0 now is my actual argument 0. I'm going to make sure to note that these are square bracket arguments. GameMaker allows you to pass in an argument, like argument 0, argument 1, argument 2, all the way through, I think, argument 15. But you have to put either you have to access it via either square brackets, or the other way that they let you access it is to go just argument 0 like that. But in this case, when you do parameter overloading, you have to basically use the square bracket method. And so I was trying to access it with the non-square bracket method, and I'm thinking that was the issue. Let's go ahead and check. Okay, so looks like we still have a bug. It still doesn't like the fact that I'm trying to access the Y position of this particular argument. I think the main reason is because when you're setting something inside of a script, you have to return it. So let's see if we can return this vehicle. If we return it, we should have access to it. Okay, let's try this. This is one of the few gotchas of GameMaker that's hard to do in more than one way. And sometimes it takes me a couple times to get this right. So we're loading again here. We'll see if we got it. Still doesn't like it. Okay. Thinking. I'm almost thinking that I should call the depth engine over when I create it. Let's try that. So that when it's trying to access it, the Y position in the depth engine, that it definitely has access to it. So let's try that. I'm going to take this return off because that didn't work. That's unnecessary now. But we might be able to go like this and say vehicle.depth is there, and theoretically we'll have it. We may even be able to go something like this where we're actually passing in the vehicle, but let's try it just the way we had it first. Okay, thumbs up, hit play. Let's try this real quick. Yeah, I agree with you, Cadrius. A lot of it is magic. I think one of the recent updates they made to their the way that scripts work was a little bit confusing at first, but I think it works pretty much the way it should. But they basically tell you that the way that an event and actions work within an event, everything gets compiled down into one function. There we go. So that didn't break anything, but we're having issues here. Let me think. So the lights are on top of Skycurser, which tells me that it's not recognizing it correctly over in the other location. So this right here is not working as we would hope it would work. Still debating. I mean, I can think of one or two other ways to solve this, but I would like to do it in this way. The follower goal, Cadrius, was 43 yesterday, but I think one or two people stopped following, so just kind of how it works. We're here and we are here. So this Y position is the thing that's bothering me the most at the moment. Let's try the vehicle, passing the vehicle itself in right here, because this is an instance of that of this particular object. Let's try this first. And it's not quite an instance either. Yeah, and I've got one more idea after this. Okay, so still a problem, still a problem. So I will pass in object-based vehicle here, but I'll also pass in an override value for object-based vehicle. And the override value will be that exact same calculation. And I'll just say var depth override equals Y position (185) minus Y position plus 150, which is the same calculation that we had over in the other file, but we know we can override it here. and that should take care of it. So I'm going to thumbs up right there, but I'm also going to go back over to that and remove all that extra code that we no longer need inside of the depth engine. Well, it's not a ton of extra code, but it's this right here. And we'll just set the default to 150. But it should never hit here because we're passing in that second argument, and that should automatically set its depth. Okay, so we're going back in here. And if the lights are still off, no worries, we'll fix those as well. Ah, look at that. Oh man, it's so good. It's right. So the lights, yeah, that's right. There is an issue where the lights are, looks like they are, I'm trying to, the lights are not getting set to the correct depth. But the vehicles are, which is awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. So we can always speed it up. And yeah, the explosion is occurring a little bit high compared to where each of the vehicles are. I don't like that. We'll try to fix that here in a minute. But yeah, let's fix these lights. And these lights, most of them look like they need to be a few pixels out further than each of the vehicles as well. They're not out as far as I would like them to be. Okay, so the light depth will do the same thing. But I think we'll do the creation of the light with the creation of the vehicle. So we'll just do it right here. I'd rather not do it this way, but gotta work within the constraints of Game Maker, unfortunately. Cool, that should solve the lights. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, look at the vehicle Y height and base your explosion Y by it, or do more math. Yeah, that was a quick and dirty creation of the explosion yesterday. I think I want the explosion to happen basically where the point of origin is for the vehicle that it's connecting with, and I think there's got to be a Game Maker way to look at the point of origin. Because if it explodes right on the point of origin, that's going to be perfect, rather than exploding right where the bullet connects with it. So I think there might be one called Sprite Set Offset, and I'm going to look at that. Sprite Set Offset. Change the X and Y offset of the given sprite asset. Relative values based on the 0, 0 position being the upper left corner of the sprite. The following image illustrates this. I don't want to set the offset. I want to see if I can get the offset. Yeah, here it is. Get the X offset, get the Y offset. So basically I'll just make that explosion point of origin exactly that, instead of the instance, or instead of the exact point where the bullet collides with the particular sprite. So let's just do that. Okay, so we got, here we go. We will say hit vehicle dot sprite dot get X offset and hit vehicle dot sprite underscore get Y offset. And that should be an explosion right where the point of origin for each of the vehicles is, and we'll go look at the point of origin real quick to make sure that makes sense for most of the obstacles. Let's just double check that. So modify, or we don't have to modify mask, but the point of origin is basically right in the center. I can zoom in so you guys can see this, but based on where this guy is right here, it's right in the center of that sprite, and I think it's basically, I set it to the center of all these, so you know, it's 21 by 10 on this guy, it's 44 by 20 on the width and height here, so that's 22 by 10. Yeah, so everything's right in the center, so this literally should look pretty good whenever the point of origin, or whenever that instance gets created and explodes. Plus the sprite Y size divided by 2. We'll see, because the offset will be right in the center, right where that particular explosion is. So I'm not sure that that's the correct math, Cadrius. I don't need it to be the exact bottom though. Ah, I see I've got a bug here. Try this again. If offset height is height center, then add the height size divided by 2. Yeah, that makes sense. I know. I get the math. Yep. Yep. Let's see what this looks like first, though. Huh. How about nothing? Sprite get X offset. I didn't pass enough in. Well, did I? I think I did that right. Oh, gotta actually pass the sprite index in. Hit vehicle dot sprite index. Good grief. Try again. lights are off. Oh, what in the world? That's an offset in the room. That's not right. Let's say that's a 0, 0. I guess that's like a relative offset. So we need to say I'm going to say x plus y plus. Right, right. That's what I'm trying to do here. I think the yeah, this is even wrong too. Hit underscore vehicle dot x. Hit underscore vehicle dot y. Gonna cancel out as soon as it loads because that's wrong the way it's loading. Play again. So this should do it right here. The X won't always be the offset. It depends on if you have exact, if you have precise masks or not. If you have precise masks on both sprites, the X position will actually be right where the point of contact is. It will not be the offset. That looks pretty good. Obviously, the bullet should get destroyed as well, which it's not doing right now. So let's do that real quick. And there's a problem with the light position as well, so I gotta fix that. I keep noticing this, but I keep not addressing it. Let's check it here. And I think it might be because it's play. So the X will be the offset as I know, which will be centered at 0, 0. I'm trying to reread what you said and see if you meant a little bit different than what I was thinking when I interpreted it the first time. The X will be the offset as I know, which will be centered at 0, 0 from the sprite location you centered. I'm going to give each of these a little bit more than 1 hit point as well. The lights are still screwed up. I guess we need to control the Y position too. Argument 0 dot lights dot Y equals argument 0 dot Y. I don't need to do anything else. Same. Argument 0 dot Y No, that won't be exactly right. Argument 0 dot sprite height. Yeah, argument 0 dot sprite height y plus. That won't be right either. Thinking through this for a second. Sprite height divided by 2, if they're all centered, would be the top of the sprite plus the sprite height. Yeah, because right now the point of origin is in the center of everything. Okay, let's try this again. Like instance create, hit vehicle. Yeah, got it, Cadrius. Okay, so we're trying this again. I'm still trying to fix the location of the lights. I can't just say Y position because the Y position on all these vehicles is in the center of the vehicle. And now we got them climbing around at the top of the screen. I must not have the argument 0. Here we go. Argument 0 dot y plus. Just keep these together. Try again. Come on. Think through this. The Y. Minus sprite height divided by 2 plus the sprite height. Y would be the center, minus the sprite height would take it up to the top of the sprite, add the sprite height would take it to the bottom of the sprite. I mean, if I remove the last sprite height, that's going to leave the lights at the top of each of the cars. I have to add the last sprite height because I have to, when you add in Y position, you're going down.
Sky.
Let's just see. We'll see. We'll take it out. Still feel like this is a little bit off though. Yeah, so when I take it off, they're up higher than they should be. Let's clear them out, show you. So, here, I'll make this a little bit even more obvious. Let's do this. So about every second we'll have a car instead of about every 20th of a second. And you'll be able to see that the math is off there if we do that. So see that? The reason why I wanted to do minus on the height is because the Y position is in the center of each one of these items. And then when we subtract the sprite height divided by 2, so the sprite height, let's say like this guy right here, that sprite height is 30. So we divide that by 2. We go, since we're in the middle, we say whatever its Y position is minus 15, so we get to the very top of the sprite, and then we add the full height of the sprite in, and that would theoretically give us the exact position. But let me look at these sprites. Yeah, the sprites are about how I thought they would be. Why not plus? Minus will go up. Minus will go up. Plus will go down. Yeah, I know. That's why I had it the way it was. Minus will go up. Yeah. That's what I said earlier. And what you're saying right here is to go plus, which would theoretically work. But I don't see how that's technically any different than the way I had it previously. I had a minus, and then that would take it to the top of the sprite, theoretically the Y position to the top of the sprite, and then add the whole thing back in. That would take it to the bottom of the sprite. This would theoretically just add onto the Y position and take it to the bottom of the sprite. So theoretically they should both be about the same. No need of minus of the divided plus the full size. Right, it'll be the same exactly as what you're telling me right now. But if it is the exact same as what it was a minute ago, based on the way I had it, the lights will still be in a weird position.
To officially recognize you as the acting king of England. The Archbishop will stand here, you will stand here. You'll recite some vows, and you'll repeat them. In James's Bible.
And they are. So I think all I'm going to do is subtract, I don't know, that's what, 6 pixels. So I'm going to put it back to the way that I had it, because in my mind that makes the most sense. I want to get to the top of the sprite, then add the entire height of the sprite. I like the way that is, and then I'm going to, at the very end, I'm going to subtract off 6 pixels, and that should take care of all of them. Light.sprite y size, sprite height. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the sprite, this freaking lights might be off. Yeah, it's not just the... Yeah, something weird with the lights. I think, no worries, this should do it. Pull them up about 2 more pixels. I think that's exactly why both of us basically had it. The problem was the size of the sprite for the lights was a little bit of an odd size. It was basically the same size as the car that it was supposed to be out in front of.
You did what you were trying to do. You protected the king. I'm a big part of that. Yeah, I do. Dad, if you see...
Almost finished compiling. Chris, what are your thoughts, man? There's one other problem. Oof. The lights are sitting on top of the other cars. I think I can just set the lights to position 185 instead of whatever depth they're on, because they should always go behind the cars, and 185 is the lowest depth. It's a tough one, the lights. I think I got it. I think I got the lights. Hold on, I'll fix this real quick. I keep clicking the wrong one of these options. And I'm also going to change the position of those lights so they're a little bit further. Doesn't the car light get the car depth? Yes, the car light does get the car depth, and that's the problem in this case. The car light should not get the car depth because the car light shouldn't be sitting on top of another car. It should theoretically go behind another car. Should you add a broken car in the opposite side, as I said? We're going to do something different with the opposite side. So 185 is too deep. It's got to be a 184 then. So let me adjust that real quick. Actually, I changed the entire depth. So let me verify I've got the correct depth on this. Yep. Base vehicle 150. The lowest I can go is 174. So that's what we need to set that to, 174. Play.
Yes. A little privacy. Don't look at roaches. Get ready to ask a roach spray. Ready?
Okay, let's see how this works. Need some more cars in here. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the way that is with the lights, how the lights don't... The lights are basically under any other car, but there's still one other problem. Oh man, this is tough. So the problem that I'm seeing is that the lights are showing up. The depth of the lights now is a little bit weird, where some of the lights that are in front are showing up underneath some of the ones that are in back. The lights should not be showing up in back of the ones that are behind them. They should, yes, be showing up in back of the cars. You don't necessarily want the lights to sit on top of the cars, but we don't want the lights that are in front to sit under the lights that are in back. So I think there's a solution to this, and it's going to be similar to vehicle.depth, but it will be... So the max this could be here is 170. Man, I think we almost have to do a little bit more trickery with the depth again. $150 through 170 for the vehicles. And because we have up to 70 different, up to 20 different positions here, valid depths for the lights are 171 through 191. So the closest this can be is 191. This can be at 195, It's going to be at 200 for now. We may end up changing this stuff later, but we don't need to worry about it right now. 205, 210, 215. Okay, I think we got that right there where we want it. Now, what we'll do is just add 20 to each of the depths. So we'll say vehicle depth, vehicle.depth plus 20. And that should take care of it. Might actually be 21, I'm thinking.
So there were like three views of the interstate. One taking stuff that was attacked, one moments before, and
But the actual attack,
whoever did this was either
See how this works.
moment and location or escape detection, or it all seemed very kind of
Looks good there. I need a couple more examples.
second scenarios. The king is now out for surgery.
Yep. So far everything looks right. Yes. The closer lights should be on top of the further lights. Sometimes it's hard to tell when we don't have a lot of examples going close by. That's hard to tell because it's right next to each other, not really one on top of the other. There we go. And the next thing I'm going to do is make sure that, ooh, that was a little bit weird for the box truck. I'm not going to worry about the box truck at the moment. I'll just pull the box truck's point of origin down a slight bit, or the van. The Y position, let's pull this down to 20. That should probably fix that issue that I just saw. Okay, what else here? Okay, I've got it. The last thing I want to do is make the cars drive around each other. So if the cars are within a certain distance of each other, they're not going to basically run really close to each other, right next to each other, right? If they're within a certain distance of each other, they're going to change their direction. Instead of going at 180, they're going to choose to go up or down at like, what's that, 135 degrees or 225 degrees until they are basically until their Y position is basically 5 pixels lower or higher than the other card's Y position. So that should keep these things from colliding with each other or looking kind of like they're colliding with each other. So let's do that. And I'm trying to determine where to do this at. I think it's going to be in script base vehicle step. And we'll do this if argument 0 dot x plus argument 0 dot sprite width divided by 2. That is actually minus
trust issues. Yes.
Cool. Sounds good, Cadrius. Let's go look up a function real quick. And we'll look at place meeting.
Did you attack my father, Jasper?
Perfect.
My mother said you tried to kill my father.
We'll do it that way. If argument 0 dot x minus 5 with its y position is going to and let's say y, let's just say y for now. Yeah, that's a good idea, Cadrius. We've been talking about different ways to use Kickstarter. That's a good idea. If place meeting argument 0.x minus 5, I would like to do plus or minus 5 on the y position. But for now, let's just say let's do this a little bit different too. If the other vehicle does not equal no one, then we have a collision, and let's say argument 0 dot direction equals choose between 225, 135, and 225, and this gets a little bit tough here. If argument 0 dot dodge equals true, let's set dodge here. Argument 0 dot dodge equals false, dodge equals true. if argument 0 dot dodge, then
That's also none of your business.
How's it you
Shut up. First of all, you bow in my presence. Second, you refer to the Prince Regent as His Royal Highness Prince William. Third, you need to shut that little hole in the mouth of yours before I shut it for good.
That's what my
Well, Daddy can't always protect you. Just ask your mother.
It's so fun.
As opposed to what? Being nice. Nice is for the simple and ignorant who muddle through their ordinary lives, telling themselves their big break is coming. Love is just around the corner. It's not. Some of us have more to lose, and the truth is you don't know what you saw.
I said,
And then what?
yeah. Other vehicles not equal no one as argument 0 dot dodge, and argument 0 dot dodge is equal to false. I think this guy is gone, and
Jasper has been but what? Technically? No, this
I may do something here if it's still trying to dodge. I'm not sure.
brings up a moment when you simply exposes the true colours of him.
Else,
Spin it. Make it seem like you were trying to protect me. Though I call me in places, so too. You have left your hands up. I wouldn't be surprised if you put the knife in Dad's heart yourself, Mom. You've been doing it for years. Don't you know? And you know how to get me stop it.
Might be the only thing the evidence noticed. And you've been a mess.
Dad might die.
Exactly. Put together.
and I'm going to choose the direction actually based on how close they are to which barrier. So if argument 0 dot x, let's see how I do this.
She's just
Minus 160. Let's see. Is less than 1.
so it's still you. You're still
Then go down. Argument 0 dot direction equals 225. Else go up.
I'm so glad that you're still here.
Direction selected equals 135. Argument 0 dot direction equals direction selected. Dodge is set to true. If dodge is in play and we are still colliding with another vehicle, still trying to dodge, otherwise set this to 180. Let's see what this does. This may cause some unexpected results. All right. Okay, still waiting for the compile. I do want to set argument 0.dodge equal to false again.
You understand the magnitude of this. You can see it. So take a step back and ask yourself, where your place is in the world. Your people is lonely, or anything else. Simply look into your heart and truly ask yourself,
One more compile. Game maker, one more.
regardless of the lifestyle, it belongs to everyone tomorrow. What's ours? Crafting is a
Haha. They're all going up and up and up and up and up and up. None of them are choosing down. If they are choosing down, they're choosing down. Guess this should be 160. Less than 160. That's why they're all going up. The other thing is, if the other thing we can do here is say if argument 0 dot x is less than 150, argument 0 dot x equals 150. If argument 0 dot x is greater than 170, argument 0 dot let's see, I thought it was 165 to 185 on the position that it could generate, so let me just look at that. It is. So why that was bugging out is not exactly clear to me. So cars can be between 165 and 185 in Y position. All right.
For real. Robert Mandani, private selection.
That's wrong. That's why. I'm grabbing it by the wrong property. Yep.